The moment she said it, Ethan Calloway felt something inside him go quiet in a way that didn't feel temporary. It wasn't anger at first. It was recognition. He had just set down his glass of Pinot Noir when Olivia Whitmore leaned back in her chair and spoke like she was clarifying something obvious. "After we're married, you'll be helping Daniel financially." Ethan didn't respond immediately, not because he didn't understand, but because he understood too quickly. The restaurant around them continued its soft hum of polished conversation and low lighting. Nothing shifted externally, but internally, something had already begun to fracture. Olivia smiled faintly, as if she had just brought up a minor logistical detail about wedding seating. "He's had a rough few years," she added, her tone calm, almost rehearsed. Ethan studied her face. There was no hesitation, no embarrassment, no awareness that what she had just said might land like a breach of something sacred. "Daniel," Ethan repeated quietly. "My ex," Olivia confirmed, as if he might have mistaken the name for someone else. Ethan nodded once. He felt strangely composed. Too composed. "And you expect me to what exactly?" he asked. Olivia folded her hands together. "Support him a little," she said, "just until he gets back on his feet." Ethan's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. How long has he been trying to get back on his feet? Olivia exhaled lightly. "That's not the point." Ethan leaned back slightly. "No," he said. "I think it is." The waiter approached briefly, sensing tension without understanding it, and asked if they needed anything else. Ethan declined. Olivia barely acknowledged him. "Daniel sacrificed a lot for me," Olivia continued once they were alone again. "I wouldn't be where I am without him." Ethan didn't interrupt. He wanted to hear how far this logic extended. "So your solution," he said slowly, "is that I step in and fund his recovery." "It's not like that," Olivia replied quickly. "It sounds exactly like that." She leaned forward now, her expression sharpening slightly. "It's temporary." Ethan held her gaze. "Temporary doesn't make it reasonable." Silence settled between them, heavier this time. Olivia's fingers tapped lightly against the table, a subtle sign of irritation. "I thought you'd understand," she said. Ethan almost smiled, not out of amusement, but out of disbelief. "Understand what?" he asked. "That after I commit my life to you, I also take responsibility for the man you chose before me?" Olivia's eyes narrowed slightly. "That's a very cold way to put it." "No," Ethan said calmly. "It's a very accurate way to put it." There was a pause. A long one, and then Olivia said something that shifted everything. "If you really love me, this shouldn't be a problem." That sentence didn't raise Ethan's voice. It didn't make him react outwardly, but it did something far more decisive. It gave him clarity. Before we go further, drop in the comments and tell us. If you were sitting where Ethan is right now, would you walk away immediately, or would you try to understand her side first? Ethan didn't answer her right away. He let the silence stretch, because he knew this wasn't just about Daniel anymore. This was about boundaries, and what Olivia believed she was entitled to. "How much?" Ethan asked finally. Olivia blinked. "What? How much would I be helping him?" She hesitated now, just slightly, but enough. "A few thousand a month," she said. Ethan let out a slow breath. "And how long?" "Until he stabilizes." "That's not a timeline," Ethan replied. Olivia's composure began to crack at the edges. "You're focusing on the wrong thing." "No," Ethan said quietly. "I'm focusing on the only thing that matters." He paused. "You didn't ask me." Olivia frowned. "What do you mean?" "You didn't ask if I would be willing to do this," Ethan said. "You told me I would." That landed. For the first time, Olivia looked uncertain. Not apologetic, but aware. "I assumed," she began. "Yes," Ethan cut in gently. "You assumed." The air between them shifted again. This wasn't a disagreement anymore. This was a reveal. Ethan realized something he hadn't fully seen before. Olivia didn't view this as a negotiation. She viewed it as an extension of what she believed she deserved. And that belief didn't include his autonomy. "I need to ask you something," Ethan said. Olivia nodded, cautious now. "If Daniel hadn't struggled financially," Ethan continued, "would you still feel responsible for him?" Olivia's answer came too quickly. "Yes." Ethan absorbed that. "And if I said no," he asked, "what would that mean for us?" Olivia didn't answer immediately this time. Her silence was louder than anything she had said before. Ethan nodded slowly. That's what I thought. He reached for his jacket. Olivia's expression shifted sharply. What are you doing? Leaving, Ethan said. Her voice rose slightly. You're overreacting. Ethan stood up. No, he said calmly. I am responding. Olivia pushed her chair back slightly. We're getting married, Ethan. He looked at her. Really looked at her. I was under the impression that meant we were building a life together, he said. Not inheriting unresolved ones. Olivia's eyes hardened. So that's it? Ethan paused. No, he said. That's clarity. And then he walked away. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. Olivia didn't reach out immediately, which surprised Ethan. But when she did, it wasn't what he expected. Her message was short. I think you misunderstood me. Ethan read it twice, then set his phone down, because he hadn't misunderstood anything. A day later, she called. He answered. I wasn't saying you had to, Olivia said immediately. Ethan remained silent. I just thought you would want to support me, she continued. Ethan spoke carefully. Supporting you and funding your ex are not the same thing. There was a pause. You're making this bigger than it is, Olivia said. Ethan exhaled slowly. No, he replied. You're minimizing something that reveals everything. That was the turning point. Not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't understood. Olivia didn't see the problem, and that meant the problem wasn't temporary. It was foundational. A week later, Ethan returned the engagement ring. There was no dramatic confrontation. No shouting. Just a quiet, final conversation in Olivia's pristine living room in Greenwich, Connecticut. You're really ending this over money? She asked. Ethan shook his head. I'm ending this over expectations. Olivia crossed her arms. I thought you were different. Ethan almost smiled again. So did I. And that was the end of it. No reconciliation. No dramatic regret. Just two people who finally saw each other clearly and realized they were never aligned to begin with.